Okay, guys, it's 5 o'clock, so we can go on and get started. Welcome to session 7. So you've made it nearly 2 months into this, despite the pandemic and the snowstorm and everything else. So our topic tonight is burn more calories than you take in, which is, I guess, the magic key to weight loss. Though that is certainly an oversimplification of it because of the compensatory mechanisms that occur when you're trying to lose weight. But in theory, there's a set amount of calories. If you eat less than that, or get active and lose some calories through activity and exercise, that you should, in theory, lose 1 pound to 2 a week. Okay, first thing I want to do is just check in with everybody. How has everybody done over this last week? We had more challenges than usual since last Tuesday as far as getting into activity. And I know I ate everything that didn't eat me, it seems like, this last week, just because we were snowbound and it felt like you should eat. So most of it, I hope, was healthy enough, but still it was more than it should have been, and the activity was less than it should have been. Anybody else want to comment on their week or anything interesting about it, or kind of just how you did?
I'm with you, Rebecca. I wanted to eat more. Even though it was healthier, I found myself eating more.
Yeah, I saw that my little bag of nuts that's supposed to have 16 servings, which in theory should last me 16 days, didn't. So I'll have to rethink that serving size on that, because I now count them out to have 2 of each type of nut, so I get the different nutrients, but no more than 2 of each type. Or that was my move this week, to try to do that, since I ate 16 servings, 2 weeks worth in maybe a week. Anybody else have any extra challenges or situations, or maybe you did better? There have been people through this pandemic that, being home and refocusing on their health, they did exercise more and eat better and improve the way that they're doing. So, in a backward kind of way, it's been healthier for some people.
The only thing good I guess I got out of it was the activity, which counted as exercise, that I got from playing in the snow.
That's true.
Whatever I was doing, my watch thought that I was working out, which is good, because I know I talked to another fellow today, and last week was rough as far as diet went.
Yeah. And it's true. It doesn't have to be straight exercise. It can be fun things like playing in the snow or working in the garden, or things that's housework or other things that you have to do anyway, do count when it's movement and activity. And embedding it in your day is kind of a good thing in a way. Okay. Let's see. Kind of the balance scales here. If you take in more than you put out, you're going to gain weight, which makes sense. And if you take in less energy, less calories, then you consume, sure enough, you will lose weight. So it just kind of shows in a pictorial that you're expending energy during exercise, even during rest, and during activity, to offset this food that you eat. And same thing the other way. You can use both in your attempt to reduce calories. You can use the eating less and just eat less calories, but you also can burn more calories and do that combination, which a lot of people do. Like I say, though, it's oversimplified: energy in, energy out, being in a balance with each other. So in that, there's an amount of calories that if you eat per day, you will maintain your current weight. You won't necessarily gain or lose, but there's an amount that you can calculate that lets you know. And through that, we learn of Paul's story. They had a fairly lengthy handout this week for describing the burn more calories than you take in. And Paul was their patient representative. And Paul did some challenges, and he had seen his PCP, and they'd given him some instructions. So I made a little slide about him. He's 47 years old, so kind of middle age, 240 pounds. It didn't give a height or a BMI, but certainly that was more than he should have weighed. He was at risk for diabetes type 2, just his weight, his lifestyle, possibly some family members. His primary care provider had recommended a 40-pound weight loss, but slowly, 1 to 2 pounds per week, which would be 3,500 calories less per week for each pound. But to maintain his weight, 2,200 calories. So at that, he wouldn't lose an ounce. More than that, he would gain. Less than that, he should hopefully lose. So the mathematical formula would be, if he needs to lose a pound a week, what should his goal calorie intake for the whole day be? Since 2,200 is not it, that would keep him at the same weight. 1,700 calories. So in that, he can make up his meals, his snacks, and hit it through eating 1,700 calories, or he can do a combination and activity, exercise, burn off some of the calories. So Paul started out on a Sunday with his diet, and he did a combination. He ate a 400-calorie breakfast, but then he went for a walk and burned 90 calories of it. Then he had a 200-calorie mid-morning snack, and then he had lunch, about 500 calories. And then he had an afternoon snack. So he's eating, about 800 calories there without any activity to burn it. But then he did mow the yard, burning 100 calories, and then he had supper. And then he took another brisk walk. And then he had a bedtime snack. So in red, you see what he took in, and in blue, you see what he was able to burn up with activity. So if 2,000 in and 310 burned with activity, he did meet his goal of 1,700 calories, or about there. So he's got it to work out this Sunday. He still probably has some things that he can do different to enhance both the intake and the activity. And it may be most days are mixed like this, or that some days are one or the other if he were in a situation that he couldn't exercise as much someday. So let's look. Healthier eating components. So we know what he ate, and we know that the amount of calories he ate. Is there anything about healthier or less calories or something from what he ate? And it didn't exactly say what he ate for breakfast or lunch or supper, but many times you can do substitutions of not quite so healthy to healthier, and that can help reduce the calories many times. So if he could get in some grains or beans or vegetables, fruits and nuts, hopefully his 100-calorie snack was one of those 100-calorie packed nuts seeds that you can buy individual. Getting more fruits and vegetables in. Lean meat or plant-based protein, which lentils are a good option. And somebody today was telling me about how to make lentil tacos. And I think I'm going to try it. You use the lentil beans as the meat, and then you kind of do everything else as far as the lettuce and tomato and salsa. And I thought, okay, I'm going to try that this weekend. But they said they couldn't tell a difference because they put the taco seasoning on the lentils, and so it absorbed that flavor. Small amounts of healthy fats, water or other unsweetened drinks. So it didn't say if he had sodas or sweet tea or anything, if that was part of the calories, but that would be an area for improvement if needed. And then more home cooking and making healthier choices than sometimes you have the option of when you eat out. And portion control and mindfulness. So some healthy eating components that still can improve, even though he met his goal that day, can help him meet it tomorrow and the day after. So just some examples, and his handout about him gave a lot of good examples from every meal, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, of a typical breakfast and then a healthier swap. And then it went on to tell you how many calories for like whole milk. If you substituted it with a fat-free milk, that would save you 63 calories for that same exact volume of milk. A plant-based milk, almond milk or something, could reduce it more because a lot of those have 30 calories total in the unsweetened versions or the plain versions. And it's just, you don't want to necessarily feel deprived or anything. And you may want to try something and you don't like it, so you go with plan B. But I can cook better with plant-based milk that I can just drink it. I've got to where I can have it in my little plain Cheerios, so that makes me happy. But if I wanted to drink a glass of milk, it's probably not going to be the plant-based one yet, because it just seems thick. It's a texture thing, not a taste. It just seems thicker. Cooking spray could be, if you use cooking spray, you could replace the use of butter. If you were having a sandwich and you really wanted to put extra meat and cheese on a sandwich, you could replace that with just doing more vegetables. Have the same amount of meat or cheese that you would eat and not extra. Tomato, cucumber, whatever else to fill the volume on the sandwich. And then dressing on the salad or dressing on the side. You use less usually if it's on the side, and you just kind of dip your bite of salad and fork into the dressing on the side versus pouring more than maybe you meant to, and even getting it soupy that you had so much. Can anybody think of something that they ate today that you, now that you think of it, could come up with a healthier substitute of, I could have used this instead? Any volunteers for an example?
I volunteer. I
Okay.
went by Jimmy John's last night and grabbed supper, and even though I did split my sandwich in half and didn't eat the whole thing, I carried the other half for lunch. I did not get the unwich, which I usually get, which is where they wrap the sandwich in lettuce instead of bread. So that was a healthier alternative that I should have gotten.
That's true, but you made a good point. Like we generally recommend eating at home versus out, but when you do eat out, as opposed to a doggy bag at the end, at the beginning of the meal, like you cut your sandwich in half and saved half, that's always smart because you can make multiple meals out of it. And, you know, once you've kind of cut it in half, put it aside, got it in your to-go box, you don't think about it. Versus if it's in your plate and you're trying to eat and then you just kind of save whatever's left over. So that was two good things, the lettuce wrap and the lettuce wrapped around it and the smaller portion, because they do sometimes give you some huge portions. And I've had some hamburgers in my life that really was 4 meals. I just cut it in fourths and it could last a while because some places make them huge. You could have a vegan burger. I know we were talking today at work of Bulldog Burgers that's there in town, has just one of the most wonderful 21 different vegetables in the vegan meat patty. And one of the things that they do that kind of mimics onion, which, I mean, you could use onion, it's plant-based, but they cut up sweet potatoes really small and they seem to be crispy, and put that on it. So just, you know, making the best of what's available and then reducing the calories of each of those things as much as you can. Okay, I did some cut and paste pictures, and the fellows, I know y'all can see it on the K drive because Angel uploaded it, but if we were live, I would have these out in the room so that you can see. But I took a picture of 6 different types of drinks that would have a 20-ounce serving. And to see, because a lot of times, I know I'm bad about this, I'll say, well, I only have one a day or something, because that doesn't seem like a lot versus 2 or 3 a day. So if you only have one a day, and these are the 6 things you're going to have, I'm going to show you how much sugar you would have gotten by drinking that. So on the smoothie, which in theory sounds healthy, and people drink smoothies, some people make their own, but you can see it's way over the indentation over the label of the amount of sugar you would get from having one of those smoothies once a day for 7 days. So it's almost like the entire bottle is filled with sugar. Energy drinks, I know they make a version that doesn't have sugar, but the regular one, again, above the label, above the bend in the bottle, if you have one a week or one a day for a week. coffee, or a lot of those, some of them are bottled, but others are just coffees that you would buy at Starbucks or something, but with the added flavors that taste so good. Again, over the label, over the crease in the bottle, and the amount of sugar. We're talking hundreds of grams of sugar. Like that smoothie was 500 and something, and this is like 467. So they're really high in the sugar grams. The Coca-Cola or plain soda is kind of right there at the curve, the bend in the bottle. Usually 10 teaspoons in a small, like a little can, and then much more than that in a 20-ounce bottle. Chocolate milk, I've heard that mentioned as being the perfect drink after working out, that it had nutrients and the milk and the protein and the different things in it, but it has a lot of sugar, and you can see it's right there at the crease in the bottle, right above the label. Now they do make some of the Almond Breeze chocolate milks that you can buy. I found them in the aisle that's not refrigerated, but where they have a lot of the powdered milks and then the other plant-based proteins. You would have to refrigerate them after you open them, obviously, but it had less calories than regular chocolate milk for those that like chocolate milk. And then orange juice, even though, you think that sounds healthy, a lot of the orange juices do have it. It did go a little lower than the label. So of these 6 things, it was the least of sugar content, but still a lot of sugar content. And I mean, you can look as you shop, you'll see some, they'll say Trop 50 or 50% less sugar. Or I suppose the best way to reduce the sugar in orange juice is actually just have an orange and eat the actual orange itself. But they usually do recommend the whole fruit versus the juice version. So an apple versus apple juice, orange versus orange juice, grapes versus grape juice, possibly as far as the calories and the intake. Any thoughts of those Starbucks people that love it, of how much sugar you possibly may be getting? Though you can reduce it, you can get the skinnier versions and not topping and the whipped cream and all that has additional calories. But those were just some of the pictures that, like I say, we would have had the bottles live for you when we were in class live, where you could walk around, pick them up, look at it, and see what was involved with it. But this can be confusing to people because you have bottles side by side that look similar, and this one has 50% less sugar and that one has 50% more. Okay, back to the regular slides that they produced. Those different people doing the same activity burn different amounts of calories. And as you can see, they have 3 people described: a 125-pound person, a 155-pound person, and a 185-pound person. And doing the same activities, if someone was just doing calisthenics, just moderate, you can see 65 calorie difference. So the person that's heavier is going to burn a little more calories from the same activity over the same number of 30 minutes that they doing this. So you can pick your activity for what will burn the most, walking, jogging, whatever you have time with, and then kind of gauge it based on your weight as to how much you would burn up, especially if you're doing that combination of reducing calories and increasing activity. Okay, calories used in exercise, it kind of sometimes will describe activity and exercise as light, moderate, or heavy, and it kind of tells you what each of those are. I'm going to be in the light category because pretty much all I can do is the slow, steady walking, light gardening. Never tried golf, but probably most of the activities I would be able to do consistently would fit in that category. More moderate, a brisk walk where you can talk but not sing. Cycling, swimming, other activities. Just pick the ones you like. I don't know that one's better than the other. It's the consistency and to do day after day, and then as much activity and fun things like the playing in the snow or whatever, just add those in as kind of extra. The heavier exercise, power walking, I think was popular in the 80s. Swimming, strenuous swimming like the Olympic athlete swimming degree, skipping rope, climbing stairs, or a pro level sport training for football or basketball. So just kind of gauge. It's not a perfect amount. You can calculate your steps, you can calculate your minutes, and then try to gauge how many calories you burned off on a thumbnail.
So Rebecca,
measurement.
I want to add, to the group that, in terms of kind of calculating or estimating activities, I encourage, folks who are trying to do the weight loss to overestimate the calories in the food that you eat. So, overestimate. So consider that there's more calories than you thought, and then underestimate the impact of exercise. That, if you're going to be wrong in terms of overestimating what you eat and underestimating what that'll allow you to do in terms of exercise. And be careful with the exercise and eating, kind of the allowance for the exercise, that the math gets out of proportion really, really quickly. So, a lot of people, around Thanksgiving, there's like a probably some little guidance of saying, well, if you run this far, you get to eat one slice of pie. And again, overestimate the calories in the food, underestimate the exercise. One thing that happens, particularly with an exercise that you do essentially the same way over and over again, is your body becomes more efficient. So the thousandth time you run, the thousandth time that you walk a mile, you're probably going to burn less calories than the first few times that you walked a mile. So if you're walking, it's great for general health, for your joints and things like that. But from a calorie expenditure standpoint, um, doing the same thing the same way, you don't get more bang. You don't get more bang. So you have to either diversify, intensify, or lengthen, exercise to continue to get similar calorie burn. So don't underestimate the impact of being really, really efficient, particularly with food intake.
Yeah, that's definitely true. And I think it's My Fitness Pal that tries to do that. You program whatever you ate and your activity, and it tries to give you what we got for Paul, of kind of how much he managed to burn and how much he ate. But, you can still underestimate and overestimate in that based on what you enter in there, so that it's not necessarily misleading you into eating more. Okay. It kind of gives here on the recommended daily calories and fat grams for if your current weight falls into whichever of those 4 categories, how many calories per day, and then grams of fat per day is recommended. And they never recommend eating less than 1,200 calories a day as a total amount. I know sometimes you'll hear of people eating lesser amounts and going on extreme kind of diets, but in general, as a thumbnail rule, that's not recommended. It's 1,200 calories as the lowest recommended amount, and then activity beyond that to burn anything. Okay, let's say an action plan. Anybody want to state what we'll do today? And I was excited today because after we gave a little presentation for the Performance Improvement Committee about the fellowship, what y'all are up to and what we're doing. Of course, I mentioned our goal to help others in the system and in the community and our patients that we serve with lifestyle changes, those that they want to try and those that they're willing to do or want to incorporate into their life. And after that, we got our first patient of sorts. I had somebody reach out to me and say, I want to, talk with some of y'all each week and have a kind of a accountability check-in and a weigh-in, for lack of a better word, and set a goal for what I want to do every week. And so we did that this afternoon. They set their goal, and start slow with think it through. Everything won't be perfect tomorrow or next week, but they were going to start. And I'm trying to remember what the specific goal, because we talked about possible goals that would be something, and it may be this week going to a plant-based milk versus regular milk. Is what they picked, and they set a food goal and they set an activity goal of what they're going to do each day. And each week we're going to check in with each other and let her change her goals. So does anybody have comment or thought, or what's your action plan between now and when we meet next Tuesday? Something new added on that you haven't maybe done yet, that you want to be your action plan, and you kind of break it down into where will I do this, when will I do this, how long will I do this, and then any challenges. And you think of weather challenges or with walking or when you're going to do your exercise. But does anybody want to venture up what their action plan might be over this next week?
Nothing in the chat box. One thing that I've been thinking about, and I think I'm going to do it, is I'm actually going to sign up for Noom and try out Noom. I looking forward to testing out the coaching feature for Noom to see if it would be beneficial.
I had a friend that did Noom, and they were very impressed with it. It's the only person I know that did it, but they really thought the psychological aspects and the kind of the behavioral aspects was helpful to them.
Yeah, so I'm looking forward to it to help me. I'm not necessarily participating in a participant in the program, but there's some goals that I want to do, and and just to let people know that there's always room for kind of improvement, and even if you're doing certain things at a really, really, really high level,
Right.
level of intensities, that there's definitely room to go. And so, to kind of share some of the struggles is that, the last year has been an excellent year for exercise for me. Excellent. But with that, my eating habits have actually gone in the worst direction. So my exercise is exceptional, but the eating habits is worse. And so I'm at that point where I'm gaining weight, even though the exercise is way more than I've done in years. So really looking at ways to, ways with the coaching and things like that, like, just to let you know that sometimes the stuff that worked initially may not work as well for where you are, in life right now. I've tracked my food in some form for about 6 years, and even with tracking, it doesn't benefit me as much as it used to without like some external feedback. So, so my goal is to try Noom, and to tell everybody about it.
Okay.
Ashley in the chat box said that her goal is to reduce meat to one meal per day this week. Her goal this week is to reduce it to one meal a day.
And that's a good thing. And sometimes, just like I mentioned with the substituting the lentils and with the tacos, I didn't think of that on my own, but somebody at work mentioned it, and they had tried it, and I thought, okay, I can do that. That sounds like that would work, and easy enough to make. And so that having interaction with others and them sharing ideas and what they liked and what they didn't. Like when I made the lentil soup, I followed the recipe. It was okay, but I just didn't, that's just not something I normally eat. And so I do better now hiding the lentils from myself in the taco soup that I like, and the vegetable soup that I like, and the chili that I like, that over time I no longer have meat in. Through the weeks and months, I've weaned off that. So, that's kind of my approach, is just kind of add to the things I naturally like. Because I order the same thing. If I go to Olive Garden, bless them, they know I'm gonna order the same thing. I always have. I always probably will. I'm not a big cooker person, and ordering different things. I don't want to try the newest, latest thing on the menu. I want them to have what they've always had, and that's what I want to order. It's my favorite thing. We all kind of approach it differently, and things that we make and things that we do. So hopefully everybody can think of a goal of this week between now and next Tuesday, of something that they can do that's different, but that works for their life and their lifestyle and what's going on. Does anybody have any questions or anything? I think that was the last slide from those, but hopefully the visual aids, which again, I wish were really live and we were there, sometimes just seeing something or even reading the label and seeing how much of whatever's in there. It may be the cholesterol that you just didn't appreciate was in there, or the sugar, or something else. But it kind of sometimes gets your attention just seeing it, or somebody that you know tries something that you know that y'all like similar food, and if so and so likes it, you probably would too, because y'all tend to like the same things. Any other? I know folks have been sending in their weights and all, and their activity levels, and Angel's still tracking that for everybody. Because again, it's just to reiterate, the two goals for this program is to lose 5 to 7% of your body weight in the first 6 months. So we've still got 4 more months to go. Get that lost, and then maintain it the second 6 months of the year, and then pretty much from the time we learned about activity, trying to get that 150 minutes in a day, no matter how many steps that is, or anything like that, just counting the time of the activity, whatever that activity is. Any questions, comments? Angel, Dr. Rayford, anything else to add in there?
No, just keep submitting those weights and those exercise minutes. And if there's any suggestions for things we can do, or areas that you want to learn a little bit more about, just let us know and we'll figure out how we can meet those needs.
Yeah. Because sometimes you'll ask, what's the, if you just have somebody that has many challenges, maybe they smoke, drink, they're overweight, their cholesterol's terrible, and they've got many things they could change. And I asked somebody the other day, I said, well, what do you start with? And sometimes it depends on who you're talking to. The tobacco people are going to say tobacco cessation, and maybe some other groups are going to say something different. But this person said, the mindset, the thought that it can be done. That's what you've got to change, to where they believe, the motivation that I can do it. And when you get that changed, that they actually believe they can be successful with it, they can change some of the other things. And so hopefully we'll all get our mindset into the, we can do this. Okay, guys, we don't try to belabor the point or keep you here longer than you need to, because we know everybody's had a full day already, and we're thankful that you logged in this evening to learn what, new information you could to help yourselves, help your patients, be able to move their lives in a healthier way as well. So, all right, we will see y'all Friday virtually. And Dr. Rayford's going to speak Friday afternoon on the BMP, and then we'll go through some CHIP stuff, but we'll see y'all virtually then.
Good evening.
You too.